All right, what is happening? This is Colin Andrews Egbert, and this is Buying Boring but Beautiful Businesses. And I have somebody that is a true serial deal maker, somebody that has been very active with multiple deals, and he's always willing to kind of share what he's doing, kind of to talk about the insights of how he's putting these deals down. So I wanted to get him on this call to kind of share with all of you a little bit about his deal making adventures that he's had so far and what he's looking to do in the future. So Leslie, thanks a lot for joining us.
Thank you, Colin. Appreciate it. Looking forward to chatting with you about my background experience.
Absolutely. So let's jump right into it, Leslie. You have a background in IT, and that's kind of what has formulated your buy box. However, you've also had multiple other opportunities outside of just the IT space that you've also looked at. So what I'd like to do is just kind of dive down first right into the IT part, why you chose it, besides outside of, it being your specialty, something that, you have a lot of experience with, kind of what you're seeing and what kind of deals that have come up and that you've been a part of.
Awesome. Yeah, appreciate that. 25 plus years IT, everything from small mom and pop managed security providers, managed service providers, Deloitte Consulting, EDS, HP, a lot of network security, firewalls, data center, working with large clients like Sabre, American Airlines, global networks that are 24/7. From there, did some firewall automation as part of that, and I was able to go join a group called Outersec, and they do automation for firewalls. And so I did 7 years of sales engineering, so I kind of moved into the sales role and working with and demonstrating product lines and working with customers. So I really enjoyed that. Got a lot of travel under my belt. Got to see a lot of people, and I really enjoyed working with folks in the field. So made some great contacts. Oil and gas, and everything from track phone to Halliburton to you name it. Working with Phillips 66, those guys. So lots of people just kind of in different industries, even pharmaceutical folks too. So got a lot of great experience there, and taking it from there, I was just kind of how I kind of transitioned from there is I've been involved with real estate, Bigger Pockets Pro member and follower for years, watched a lot of podcasts, and saw Pace Morby on a podcast with Bigger Pockets, Sub 2. And that, when I saw that, I was like, okay, that's a game changer. And so I kind of had that in the back of my mind. And I'd been buying real estate, had about 4 properties. In 2023, March of 2023, my job left me. With Algosec, it was another company I jumped to for about a year, which is no longer in business. But at the time they laid off the team. We're trying some stuff and it didn't work, so got to go reinvent myself. And so I jumped into Pace's group, Sub 2. That led me to all kinds of just drowning in mindset, creative real estate, the whole 9 yards. I mean, it's an overwhelming group of go-givers. It's amazing. Pace said, show up here in June to New Jersey and go to this DealMaker event. So I signed up, showed up, got involved with DealMaker, had no clue who Carl Allen was, didn't look him up, didn't any of that. I just literally booked the tickets and showed up. And then I got in the room and I'm like, all right, buying businesses, this makes sense, right? I was already following Cody Sanchez and some of the other ones along that line. And so that was like, all right, these are my people. This is what I need to do. And so I signed up and a little bit of delay, and then jumped in, later that September into the deal making community and started focusing my efforts into the deal maker, but really applying a lot of that creative finance and creative, real estate side that I learned in Sub 2 and of the group. So that's kind of my background and how I got to here. And then, just reinventing myself and really pouring myself into it, 60 plus hours a week. It's not, I work harder as an entrepreneur than I was at a W-2, so part of it is.
Isn't that funny how that works? Yeah.
I mean, a whole lot harder.
You want the freedom. Yeah, right. But you end up putting in more hours. But isn't it, it's so much, but you don't feel like it, right? Because you're working towards your passion. You're working towards, what you want to focus on, as opposed to having somebody that's looking over your shoulder and telling you what to do. So I'd rather work 60, 80 hours doing my things, how I want to do it and on my time than working for the man. That's for sure. Leslie, one of the things that I wanted to ask you about, because I also, as you know, that, my background is self-storage. And, after going and really looking at the deals over the last year, trying to pencil them out and make it work, just the profit, the cash flow just isn't there. And yet these sellers still want, top dollar for it. They want the same prices that when we were able to get debt at 3.5%, 4%, and our expense was a lot lower in regards to that. They still want the same prices back in 22, 23, when interest rates were so low. So I made that decision to pivot to businesses as opposed to real estate. And I wanted to kind of hear, what was your reason for doing it? Obviously the community had something to do with it, but when it comes to the numbers, why do you like boring businesses as opposed to real estate overall?
I'm not sure there's such thing as a boring business. As I'm learning with the hotel I just bought, and it's a very simplistic hotel. It was not a typical one. There's a lot to do, even if it's like setting up, we're setting up payroll, all this other stuff. And it's like, I feel like I'm doing all this tedious stuff, not getting anything done, but it's got to get done, right? Even though I've got people helping me do it, it's still a lot of work. But yeah, I went down the self-storage path. Actually, that was my first venture. Kind of, I'm an entrepreneur. I've got a lot of skills in a lot of areas, so I was kind of all over the place. With the protege DealMaker community, they focus on, hey, stay in your lane, right? My lane's IT. That's what I know. And, so I went off and did a bunch of other stuff, trying to, look at all these things. Oh, that looks exciting. That, squirrel. But
Right.
building the follow through and making sure you get through the process, it's no good if you can't actually finish up and complete something, right? So, but for me, it was helping me discover myself, helping me get to where I'm at today because I went through that process and allowed myself the grace to do a lot of those things to finally get myself into focus so I could actually become successful. But I went down the storage path, right? So I was following quite a few folks. It was kind of in between sub two and it was kind of in between multifamily, but it wasn't quite business. It's got aspects of both. It's not really preferred inside of the DealMaker community because it's limited, right? You've got a certain amount of space, you got a certain amount of people you can rent to, right? It's not like you can go double the rents and get more money, right? Whereas a business, you can start grow, scale, whatever, and you can 10x it. There's a lot of ways you can do that, but with a physical limitation of the property, it's more like multifamily. You've got so many doors, you can charge so much. As rents go up, you can make more. But again, with a debt service, even looking at SBA lending on a 25-year note, when you're looking at 10.5%, you got to be able to cover the note and make it worth your while too, right? I found several deals that would probably cover the note, which might be okay for a while, but how do you get money back out? And how do you pay yourself in the process for the privilege of doing that without just getting the appreciation and hoping nothing goes wrong, right? And that's more of a gamble and less of an investment, right? So I ran into very similar things. I ran into like 42% full, right? But then they wanted full prices. And I'm like, well, I can't pay the debt service with what you got today, right? I got to buy the business on what it's worth today, what it's been bringing in. So it's, I found a lot of challenges, found some things I loved, tried to make happen and spent a lot of time doing it. And spent a lot of time doing deal analysis, right? I've got a specialized deal analysis that I picked up a self-storage course for. I did the whole Radius Plus thing so I could get, what's around here for a little while as well. So I put myself full into it, and that I realized when I did that, that was the best thing because it kept me from being so squirrel, like looking at all these other things, because I was focused and committed for 90 days. Do this, right? So it kept me from looking at all these other deals and being confused back and forth, whatever. So that was, again, part of my learning process of reinventing myself. And I love storage, and it's, something I want to invest in. So that's kind of like, I want to buy the business, use the proceeds to invest in wealth building activities, and storage, multifamily, single family, all that stuff is wealth generation, right? It's wealth building. So those are things I still plan to use, but as I grow and take the capital income, I'm able to reinvest over time using the business that I can scale and grow faster.
Got it. No, that kind of reminds me of the quote that I've heard, that buying businesses and operating and maximizing businesses are a great way to create wealth, and real estate is a really good way to keep your wealth. And I thought
And
that was
grow it.
really good.
Yeah.
And I'm like, you know what? Yeah, to kind of expand it to make sure, you're putting it into things that hold their value, and so I thought that was really, really solid, quote. I like that. That kind
Yep.
of made me remind me of it. Leslie, can you kind of talk about the actual businesses that you have right now and, a little bit why you decided to do and go into the specific businesses that you picked up recently?
Sure. Like I said, my background's IT. I've done a lot of networking, especially in the sub two and the Gator for that matter programs, which is short term lending with Pace Morby. At some point during that summer of utter chaos, I was connecting with at least 15 people a day, 7 days a week, with inside the community, and building up networks and going to the networking events and you know meeting a ton of people, which was awesome and I love it. But at some point, it becomes overwhelming, right? Unless you got some automation to take care of it for you. Like, hey, who's I texting? My
Hmm.
text like fills up pretty quick. And so then it was time to kind of scale back. All right, let's kind of focus on a medium size. Let's build more meaningful relationships, right? That we can actually continue on. Who do we want to continue on with versus just random connections? And they're both great things. And then scale it back even further. Who do we want to partner with, right? So it was part of that phase that I've done. And so because of that, and I've connected with so many people, and I'm a community guide within the DealMaker community as well. Um, and I love this. So I'm just open, straightforward, and transparent. So I have a lot of people that want to work with me. So they bring me deals. So my deal origination right now is more people bringing me stuff than me going to go find it myself. I've got a few, that I look at here and there, but right now I've been so busy with the acquisition I just made and a couple other deals we've got on the table. I don't have a lot of cycles to do that. So I'm learning how to hire I've got a couple of VAs now, and I'm working to figure out how to take my enterprise mindset, brain, all this knowledge I've got, and then try to break it into smaller chunks so I can have a VA actually do it. So this is my current growth plan that I'm sitting in right now. But yeah, I mean that's kind of how I'm approaching this. And with that, I'm into other deals. So we mentioned the hotel. So I just purchased a hotel class deal. Um, that stems back from my first DealMaker event, actually. Sitting in the room at lunch with folks, picking a random table to set at lunch so I can meet new people. And we just started talking. I was like, hey, I got a condo in Galveston. And so the guy's like, well, we got this townhouse over in Houston we're thinking about selling. Cool. Swapped information, didn't think too much about it. Checked in every once in a while here and there and eventually end up buying a townhouse, doing a wrap, which I had never heard of before I started sub two, and reselling that townhouse. And we're just getting a check every month, right? Now technically belongs to somebody else. They're making a payment as a seller finance that's larger than the subject to note behind it. And we're making the difference off the equity. So, pretty cool, for $100. I got a couple $100 cash flow for 29 years. The first part's going to the uh, capital person who brought that in. She's been great to work with. And I haven't had an interview on YouTube with Pace Morby on that too. So check out my link. It's out there.
Nice.
But no banks, none of that. And it's amazing, right? Because I was sitting there with no job. I got some rental income coming in because I had that built up and I had other assets. I'd stockpiled credit and things like that. You know as part of the deal. So that helped me build and survive in the process, and got that deal done, right? So who knew you could buy a townhouse for $100 and then turn it into cash flow, right?
Mm.
So, and then, so with that, kept communication with the gentleman. He mentioned not too long after that, we made that purchase that, hey, we've got this hotel class, we've got this man camp in Midland, right? Oil and gas. And it's just housing transient workers. And it's like 500,000 a year cash flow. So we're looking to buy this thing. So I'm like, okay, cool. So I actually presented it within our community looking for a buyer. We found one. They had a family office that was going to buy it. That fell through. I tried to help the gentleman, the team that I was working with already, try to help them buy it. That fell through. Their partnership fell apart. And then end of year last year, I'm like, hey, is this still out there? Started working with them again, and sure, it was. So I jumped in, met with the seller, found out what do you need, right? What do you need? What are you looking for cash at close? What does this make a win for you? And so I just took his number, worked it backwards, set up the deal structure, and I just bought a hotel for less than $5,000,
Beautiful.
which
And that's
was
all
not my
sub
plan.
two. That's taking over
That's
the
what
payment.
happened.
Yeah. Yeah. That's funny how that works. And that's from essentially taking over the financing on that is how you did it, a creative finance deal.
Well, no, it was actually an SBA deal, which makes it even more
Oh, okay.
interesting. So,
Absolutely.
and the SBA up until May of this year would allow a buyer to inject only 2.5% of the 10% requirement, and let the seller carry on a seller note the 7.5%. So that's why I structured it. And then we ended up adjusting the seller note like a day before close, and they literally refunded a big piece of my wire funds that I put in that Friday. It's like, oh, we don't need it. We've got you covered over here. So I'm like, well, SBA says I got to do this. So I'm sending it in. You can send it back to me if you like. Put it in the account we're setting up, and they did. So they actually refunded more than what I had put down for my initial deposit. So it was, it's less than $5,000. It's a crazily amazing deal that, I wasn't even, you know, figuring that would happen. So it wasn't part of my plan, but that's how it worked out. It was blessings after blessings on that deal. So, and it's been great. We're going down there next week. It's a very simplistic model. So as you're talking about boring businesses, I don't know if I call it boring, but there's one company rents the whole complex out, all 70 rooms by the month. So they just cut us a check every month based off of, the nightly rate, 70 rooms, how many days in the month there are. And we get a ACH, on the first or second of the month after that. And the checking account, so there's a cleaning crew that actually runs everything. So there's no real front desk because it's all handled by that one company, and they actually manage who's coming and going. And so those cleaning crew is outsourced right now. So the seller is a co-owner on that deal. So I'm still working with the seller that sold it to me. And he's been awesome to work with. His name's Carlos, and he's a great guy. And he used to work for the company that's renting it out for 15 plus years and knows all the people and the players. So, um, it's been great because it's simplified the process for me getting involved. And then I've got other people I've got involved helping take over operations so I can free up my time to pursue other interests. And so yeah, it's good.
Excellent. And when it comes to, what you look to do on the exit, what are you thinking wise as far as how much you bought it for and what the plan is to sell, and what does that exit strategy look like for that specific deal?
Yeah, I mean, looking at a 3 to 7 years, probably 5-year target, somewhere in there. Exit. We also want to grow, right? We've got we want a 5-acre plot. We got a couple acres we can grow on, so we want to grow with that. So we're going to talk to the company that's doing all the renting right now, as well as other folks in the community to see, hey, what are your needs and how can we build to suit, right? And then look at expanding to accomplish that and drive more income. So.
Got it. And this is all one company that is renting out the entire area. It's like like you said, a man camp. So is that something that's going to be consistently there, that work is going to be there, or is there any challenges as far as that's not going to no longer be needed because they're not working in that specific area?
We're in the Permian Basin, Midland, Texas, right? So that's a lot of oil and gas. So there is a high risk, especially with one customer, that things may dry up or may, but we're also in one of the most oil rich areas in the world. So there's most likely going to be something, and they're not actually drilling the oil. They're a water reclamation and water treatment company that works with the oil fields. So we suspect or expect that they would continue on even if there was some down in the market, because there's still cleanup and things that they're doing on the back end. So it's a nice little setup, and it's got cash flow, and that's really kind of the big key. It's simple, it's working, it makes money, it just turns every month. It's not gorgeous. It is a hotel class according to SBA, so I like to call it that. If you saw it, you might think differently, but that's okay. We got some nice size rooms. They're very clean, and we aim to keep it that way and keep the customers happy.
Excellent. Okay, so that's the hotel deal. Now, you were also mentioning to me that you have it's a female apparel online company. Is that correct?
Yeah. We're in the process. We're under LOI, so we're under a letter of intent, working in through our due diligence to a close, hopefully the 1st of November. This is a large women's fashion e-commerce store. And what do I know about women's fashion? I know what I like, but no, I know nothing. But A gentleman that I've worked with on another deal, and we made some offers on, brought it to me. It happened to be close to his house. He's in logistics. He literally manages the entire bus routes for the entire state of Rhode Island, for 20 plus years. So he knows logistics in and out, but neither one of us know women's fashion or e-commerce. So we got together, we talked to the broker, we ended up talking to the seller, and then we went inside of our DealMaker Wealth Society protege group and started asking people like, hey, who's got, we're doing at this e-commerce company, it's women's fashion, who has skills, and started interviewing people. And we probably interviewed 10 or 12 folks. And we presented this to the team. We have what's really cool is what we call a red light, green light every Thursday. We present 2 to 3 deals, and we get feedback from the coaches, from the leadership, from just people with experience, and it's amazing. And the deal got I want to say the deal got a low green light, but clearly we weren't the folks to lead this, right? We were looking for people like, CEO. We're looking for somebody that can lead a women's group, preferably female, to have the visibility. We're looking for somebody who's got e-commerce chops that can take this thing from the current $17 million worth of revenue up to 100, all this kind of stuff, right? So we got some big plans. And from that, we were able to get even more interviews, found a team that we really love, put it together. And so now we got 5 of us that are in buying this at 90% of the company. And then, and helping her take it from there. Her thing is she's been very successful for 5+ years, and she's made a ton of money, and she figured out how to get this thing advertised and get product to move. But her and 30 people, she's just at her capacity, and she doesn't have the cycles to go learn new things or try to get things outsourced. And so she's been super successful in what she has, and she's trying new things, but she just feels like she's past her capacity, right, to continue. So she needs a team to come in and help. So we listened to her, and we went and found the people that fit those niches that she needs the most help with, and we've got them on the team. So she had multiple letters of intent on the table, and she was waiting for us because we were able to bring a team, and we took our time to do it, that would meet her needs and fit her challenges. So, she wanted us. And so that's what we're doing now. So we're talking to legal. We got them lined up today. We were talking to financing. So this is a $14 million overall deal. So it's not small. And so we're looking at a combination of SBA plus additional lender financing. So it's more complex than your average, but that's what we're doing, is figuring this stuff out. So we've got a capital partner that says they can bring us the deal. So that's what we're doing.
Excellent. And you said it's a 14 million purchase. What do you see? And obviously you don't have a crystal ball, but what do you see, 2 to 3 years down the road? What kind of value do you think that you can add to this? And what kind of valuation do you think that it can have? Well, at least what are the projections?
Yeah, with our team, we believe we can get it to at least to 25 million in the next 2 to 3 years of revenue. So at least double the revenue, maybe even a little bit more. We've got a very solid team that has a lot of e-commerce experience, everything from building and growing to scaling, and has contacts all over the place inside the e-commerce world. And we've got the marketing chops, all those pieces to go with it. So we've got and she's actually a capital raiser, which is part of why I brought her in. But she actually has modeling experience. So I think she's going to come in and be our CEO. She's out of Europe. She travels all over the place. She meets a lot of people. And so she's also identifying, hey, we can look at this product line, this product line. So she's going to come in and develop the brand. And we're going to work with the seller to get the branding, how we're looking to do this, and focus. Because right now the seller's kind of, she's all over the place because she's like, we can do this, make it work, because she's got a good eye, which is great, and she can buy stuff and sell it off really quick, and keep that capital flowing, which is awesome. And she's done an awesome job. So that's what we really love about it. But now we're looking to come in and actually brand this, make it more elegant, make it more, make all the products more, elegant in their fashion, but stick with her fashion. But our goal here is to roll this up too, right? So we're going to look at other brands that are different but similar, right? Where we can take those same processes and put them together, take her success and help drive the success of the other brands, and vice versa. And then we're also looking to potentially go vertical as well, maybe even do some manufacturing. So we we've got some things we're looking at, and we've been talking to a few companies that we think would fit really well with different lines that they don't compete with her, that are in the same similar space. And then we're also looking at, the global footprint as well, and where we want to expand across the globe.
Got it. Excellent. Sounds like an exciting project. I look forward to seeing how that rolls out. Yeah, that's awesome. Leslie, let's talk about investors that are looking to invest as a minority limited partner. They're not ready to do the operations and build out a team and sign their name on a loan just yet. They want to work with folks like yourself, other deal partners that they can kind of get a front row seat. What would you say are some of the things that they should look for when it comes to a deal, when it comes to an operator that really makes it a true green light and something that they should be really excited and interested in?
Well, staying in your lane is important, right? You need to be able to understand it, right? And even if it's not necessarily in your lane, you need to understand what you're investing in. So that's the basics. And then understand the team, interview the team. Who's taking us to the next level? What are they doing? And how is it going to be successful for me? And then how am I going to get my capital stack back out? And, how does that look, and what's the overall? So those are key pieces that we look to provide our investors with as well. Hey, here's what we're looking at. Here's our forecast going out 3 to 5 years. If we sell at this point, we're looking at here. And if we start doing roll-ups, that really expands things out even faster, right? There's a lot of moving parts, but that's really kind of the key, to make sure that they understand how they're going to get paid, and if it's a deal that they want to invest in, and do they believe in that team.
Great thoughts on that. Awesome. Well, Leslie, thank you so much for spending some time with us today, going through your deals. Really look forward to hearing how they progress. And I'm sure we'll get you back on here again and get a part 2 and hear all about how the acquisition has gone, how the operations are going, how the scaling up is going. And we'll definitely be interested in doing a part 2. So Leslie, thank you very much for spending some time with us. And for everyone that's watching this, hopefully this is giving you a better idea of just some of the options and what the ability from going from real estate and looking at outside of just real estate, looking at businesses and the opportunities and the scalability and the growth that can be had. So Leslie, again, thanks again for joining us until we talk to you next. All right. Take care, everybody.
Thank you, Colin. Thank you.